Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second session on how to use NexCapture for data collection. In the previous episode, you saw how to generate forms using the a CSV file, or maybe start from scratch and then generating a form by drag and drop of form elements. Today, we're going to see how to use the form that we generated in the previous episode and generate a data collection workflow. Um, in NextCapture, workflows are our data collection workflows are essentially the centerpiece of the application, which means that your data collection, your data engineering processes, your data lakes, your data sources, and the processes, and also your analytics and live reports, they're all enabled around these data collection workflows. So now we have a starting point, which is our form, and we can then put that starting form into a workflow, and then we build on top of that workflow as we move forward. So to do a quick recap, if you recall, we generated this artist demo form, which essentially is a simple form to collecting information about artists. And now I want to go and generate a workflow. Go to the workflows page and then click on your workflow. I have the option of using templates if we have generated before. We haven't yet, and we will do in next episodes. But now I just want to go and build my workflow from scratch. I click next, and now you are sent to this interface where you can actually drag and drop elements and then link them together. So I'll start with a form. I do have a form, and let's assume that we're going to have a public form, public artists, that's going to be available to everyone. And that's my form, artist demo. And this is where I'm going to share the link with this form to everyone outside my organization so they can go and fill the form and then provide information about artists. I save this form, and let's assume that I want to also have a private one, which means that people within organization can also go there and then provide information about artists, but then it's not going to be open to everyone outside the organization. So I drag and drop another form node, and I mark using the same form. So it's artist demo. I'll call this private artists. That's a weird name, but anyway, and it's not going to be public. I save it. And you can preview them here, similar to previewing the form. So now that form has become a data collection node, and you can actually preview the data collection node as it is, and you can share them, but we can't share it until it actually is a workflow that's shared outside. When we start creating a workflow, it starts its life as a draft workflow, and then you need to publish it so that you can share elements. So if you go and save the workflow, and I'm going to call it artist demo and data collection for artists information. Save it. And as soon as I save it, you see that there are other capabilities in the tool that will be made available. Namely, you will have now access to Data Explorer and you will have access to analytics. We haven't generated an analytics, so there's no point. But then if you click on Data Explorer, you can see the data that so far has been collected in each one of these nodes. And then there's a button here that says save and run because it's a workflow, which means that when you have more complex data nodes that are linked together and you have some processes available, and then you can actually run it and then the data flows inside that workflow. So let's collect some data. So I had a public artist form, so just it's a draft still. So what I need to do is publish this workflow to be able to share the links with everyone. Leave, and you can see that this workflow at the moment, this demo is sitting as a draft workflow. I can click here and then share it. It says, do you want to share? Yes, I want to share it. Good. Now it's a published workflow. Because it's a published workflow, now I can share the notes with everyone, either inside my organization or secured notes, or with public outside my organization. So let's just go there and then look at it again. So now the share button has been enabled correctly. So I actually can click on share. And this is a public node. It's meant to be public. So I'm going to open and as soon as you click share, essentially it gives you a link, or it puts a link in Clipboard, and then you can actually use the link in emails, in messaging apps, wherever you want to actually build that your EDM systems. So I'm just going to go and open a window in an incognito page and then paste it there. And then you can see that, okay, public artist forms, just gonna say Elton, name is Elton at john.com. I'm just making this up, by the way. It's a male. His birthday is, I absolutely have no idea, so just put a number there. And let's say that for the sake of, okay, he's not that old. And let's say that we can connect him. Yeah, submit. Okay, cool. Now it says that data have been submitted. So if I run my workflow now and I go to my public artist, I can see that the information that we collected for Elton John is actually recorded there. Let's try with the private node. So this node is private. Just going to go there and just say share. And I actually want to go and then show you what happens if we go to incognito window. And I'm not logged in here. I'm just going to paste it here. And then when it goes there, it automatically takes everyone to the front end and asks them to log in. So in this browser at the moment, I am logged in. So I just want to go there and then paste it here and say, I don't know, Madonna, and test this.com. And let's say female. Again, I have no idea what the birthday is. Just pick a day, 60 again, and we can contact Madonna as well, I believe. And then we close that. We run the workflow again, and I go to my data explorer. I have Elton in my public node, and I have Madonna in my private node. So now I have a way of collecting information using my forms from everyone inside my organization, everyone outside my organization. So you could imagine that, for example, if you have a lot of vendors in the supply chain and you want to share this form with them and then collect information the way that you want, you create these forms and then maybe create multiple nodes for each one of uh, those vendors and start collecting information and bringing all that information into NexCapture so that everyone in the organization has access to. But also, if you recall, we generated these forms from a CSV file initially. So we actually uploaded a CSV file to the system. Our AI looked at it and then derived these form elements from it. And then we had the initial version of the form, which then we did a little bit of adjustment to make it the way that we want it to be. How about we just use that file to actually upload into the system? Because more often than not, we see our customers have already some data available to them that they want to load into the system as well for their analytics, like historical data that has been handed to them from from other places, or maybe the data that they have collected by other means. And NextCapture makes this super easy as well. So you can just click on Data Explorer, and then there is a button here that says Upload CSV file. I'm just going to use the same file that I used here to load data. But mind you, this is now a different way of NextCapture looking at the data. Initially, it wanted to see what sort of data you have so that it can generate a form that works for the majority of your use cases. But now it's actually importing data. So validation and correctness of the data that it saves within the system is super important for us. So if I upload the same file that I used, it immediately looks at it and then tells me that, okay, 6 rows out of those 8 passed and 2 didn't. And then when I look at the data, you can see that, okay, the errors that it has seen is that, for example, let me just make this a little bit bigger so you can see better. And it says invalid
option selected, value don't know. Why? Because in the file for the gender, I have don't know in there. And in the other one, it says that validation failed for birthday, invalid format. It was expecting a month, day, year. But what it has actually received is two characters for day, for month, two characters for day, and actually 53 instead of having that as 1953. So let me use the clean version of the system. And you can see that I can't process this because NexCapture wouldn't let anyone actually insert data that's not validated into the system. And I can't click on process because it's disabled. I need to address those two failed rows before I can push the information. I have a clean version of the same file. So let's see how that one works. So I bring it and it says, okay, cool. All 8 rows passed and no failed, and I can now process them. Just quickly click process. It says data imported. I can run my workflow and have a look at it, and voila, I have all the information that I had previously from the file, and it's a clean file, and I have now imported them into the system. And that is how easy it is to essentially create a data collection workflow and not only collect information from that moment on, but also bring in the historical data that you've got. In the next episode, we see how we can actually do some data engineering operations here, like merging these fields and filtering fields, and also as well how easy it is to generate analytics on the fly and generate live reports. See you next one.